Hey everybody, what's up? Today is Wednesday, December 29th, and I'm going to be doing a drive from my house here in northeast Minneapolis to my company's office in Edina, Minnesota. We did get some snow yesterday. I did record a few videos. They should already be on the channel, so if you're interested, please check those out. But I anticipate most of the roads should be clear by now and plowed, so aside from maybe a few cases of like black ice and things like that, since we did have a rapid drop in temperature overnight, I anticipate the roads to be fairly clear. So without further ado, let's go for a drive and see how FSD Beta 10.8 handles the conditions. So again, the car likes to just go right over the snowbank there. I mean, the snow is pretty low, so I'm not really too concerned about it, but I've noticed that before. If I just let it go, the car will just run over snowbanks. So you got to be careful with that. Obviously, again, like the snowbank there was pretty small, so I'm not really worried about it. I actually snowblowed last night. But it's something to keep an eye on, because you can see here the car will, try to go towards too far to the right. And unfortunately, our roads here are not plowed, so you got to be careful. Sometimes there's like icebergs like this that you got to be careful about. One thing I will say that gets super annoying is the constant adjustment of speed that's required. The car will just, especially if you disengage FSD with just the wheel movement, the car will just then, when it goes to TACC, just go right up back to your offset speed, irrespective of the conditions, which in my opinion is fairly dangerous, especially on days like today where, I'm going to take over here, because I don't know if it sees this car. All right, let's try this again here. There's a garbage can right to our left that's blocking our view. And you can see again, the car just wants to just jam on the accelerator. And again, it needs to be much more gradual with throttle application. We had a rapid drop in temperature last night, as I mentioned, so you got to be careful. The roads are slippery. Again, they did plow it, so they're mostly clear, but again, it's still an issue, right? And the car is pretty quick to give up. And then again, as you can see there, the consistent map issue of this area, the car wants to constantly jump over to the right lane, and which is a turn-only lane, to go straight, which I'd never let it do. So Tesla, if you're listening, again, please update your maps. These issues that happen every single drive do start getting old, because they're really easy to fix. So not quite sure why they're so hesitant on fixing them, if they're changing their approach or what, but they do get old. So again, the mapping issues again crop up. I might have to take over here because the car needs to get more over to the left here. All right, it looks like I think it's going to figure things out here. Yep. All right, there it goes. Again, that area, I just continue to report it. The mapping issues again just cause a lot of annoying behaviors with FSD, right? Where it's just trying to use roads that it shouldn't, and it should know better, because if it's using maps for those sort of things, then that's fine. Just make sure they're up to date and not stale. So I know ultimately Tesla's trying to not use maps for anything and just read road signs, but we're not there yet. So there needs to be a stopgap for people testing in the meantime. And I'm going to be very cautious on this drive, so you might see me limiting the speeds throughout. Again, just because I'm not quite sure how much ice is still on the roads and how well they're treated, just because we did get a pretty rapid freeze overnight. All right, and you'll see there's a continued issue at this intersection here, and people definitely get impatient while the car tries to figure out what the heck it's going to do there. So as you can see there, it's a clear intersection. The car definitely continues to struggle there. Again, I'm not quite sure why, right? I don't know if it's picking up that trailer as a semi again like it was in previous builds or what, but something that's been a long-standing issue. In clear conditions, the car is much more confident there, but in these mixed conditions, I'm not sure if it was because it was turning onto a snow-covered street here or what, but it definitely was very hesitant about how it was going to turn and take its sweet time. So I did give it a little throttle input there to get it to go. And then one thing I just want to call out back there, on this road when there is snow, the car does a much better job of aligning itself more to the right. In clear conditions, it actually does a worse job and stays way too far towards the center. So honestly, the behavior that it exhibits when the roads are covered in snow is much better in my opinion. So Tesla, if you're taking note, that's something that we need to address on that road back there, just because it's a pretty unorthodox unmarked road. It's very, very wide. So again, the car did not like how much it was sliding. So what I think is interesting is the car is just going to just keeps hammers on the throttle, right? It just stays on the gas rather than like let off and modulate. And I think part of it's just because of the fact that the code right now for at least the driving dynamics is just non-neural net code, right? There's no sense of finesse to it. It's like on or off. And you can kind of tell that when you start losing grip, right? Again, we have winter tires on this thing, Anoki and Haka R3s. They're very, very good tires. But obviously, even so, it's slippery today. That corner shouldn't be a problem, right? If it modulates the power and recognizes, hey, it's snowy conditions out, I'm going to cut my power, output by 20% when I get on the throttle, that would be an issue. But when it started slipping, it accelerated even more. So that obviously causes problems. And then just right there, you would have saw the turn signal come on as it always does in this very same spot. Again, I think another mapping issue. It's been that way for a long time, pretty much for all the FSD 10.x builds. The car has done that same behavior in that same spot every single time. And again, I think if a simple map update would cure that, because obviously, as you can see, there's traffic coming in the opposite way. We cannot turn left there and merge onto that lane. That would obviously not spell good things. So something I always cancel, but it does get annoying after doing it 100 times. And again, the car starts slipping, and you saw the traction control lights come on there, and the car again just keeps on the throttle. It doesn't let off until it kind of forces itself into a bad spot. So again, Tesla needs to kind of focus, in my opinion, on these sort of conditions, addressing the variable throttle outputs, right? And making sure, or inputs rather, and controlling it when there is slipping, right? So they're obviously already detecting in some cases the road conditions based upon what they're seeing through the cameras. And again, right there, you saw the car kind of straight towards the center, and it's done that now in previous builds. You can see it's almost picking up the pathway as a lane of traffic, which it's not, right? It's been a problem I've seen, I think, since around 10.5. So again, a newer issue that we've kind of been tracking through each of these drives that really becomes a problem on this road. And you'll see it right about here. I think, again, it kind of cuts over too far again. So I'm just adjusting the path here, and then we'll report that as well. So I'm going to slow down. But one thing you'll notice there, the car wants to use that dead space on the right, but then it catches itself. That's a recent improvement in 10.8. So that's good to see. All right, so there's the yellow line is mostly covered here. It looks like we're having a really tough time finding it, so I'm gonna take over. So even in conditions that are clear, the car struggles back there. And there again, you see the traction control come on there, and it kind of gives up pretty quickly. But I'm going to report that. Hopefully that catches both of those things. So yeah, so basically that last part of that S-curve there has been a problem in clear or snowy conditions where the road's partially covered or fully covered. The car does not do a good enough job staying close to the right-hand side curb. So when you come towards the end of that turn, you have to be to the right, otherwise the double yellow is right there. And you're in an oncoming traffic lane, which is not good. So there's almost never oncoming traffic in that spot, but I'm always ready to take over if need be. But it's been a problem pretty much through all the FSD builds. That road has gotten better in some spots. The earlier parts of that road, it does a better job of handling some of the curves. But as you see right after that, we then kind of stray too far to the center still, and then towards the end we don't stay enough towards the right curve. So still some work to be done from that perspective. And the car wanted to use the right lane there. I'm not sure why. We're going to be going straight, so I'm going to report that. But I could just be getting a little confused because of the partially covered roads here. So again, you notice right here, the car does a great job of not using that dead space on the right. I can say for sure in previous builds with FSD, the car would have strayed more towards the parking spots there and actually tried to use that, versus now you can see it almost wants to and then it catches itself. So that's a definite improvement. A little bit of braking there, I'm not quite sure why. I'm guessing maybe because of the shadows or something. I'm going to take over here to avoid this little iceberg here. So again, I'll just call out, the acceleration in these conditions is a bit too much, right? I'm kind of constantly limiting the speed here, and that's something the car should be doing. It's really struggling here with this part here, it looks like. Looks like it's going to figure it out, though. All right. And a pretty good job recovering there, to be honest, considering we're going directly into the sun. We can't really see the road lines. That was pretty impressive, to be honest. But that spot there, I would say also, when that bike lane / turn lane was partially covered with snow, you can see we couldn't even see the curb back there. In previous builds, the car would just give up. It would just throw us right into the left lane abruptly, and that was obviously a problem. So in this current build, it actually properly uses it. It's a little jerky, but it's a start where it actually is using that lane now properly, as a human driver would, right? It would align itself to the right and then make that right-hand turn. So again, another improvement that I've noticed in these sort of conditions from previous builds to 10.8. Alright, so a pretty uneventful drive for the highway portion of this drive. Autopilot did a pretty good job, even though the lighting conditions, as you see, are very, very poor. We're getting basically direct sunlight either into the left side of the car, or we were doing, the head-on cameras there. So, not quite sure what happened there. The car really struggled to find the line there. I'm going to report that. That was a bit jarring. But now that we're back on FSD here, let's see how it does here. We got a couple turns. A little bit of confusion there as it was kind of getting over to the right lane. We have somebody behind us, so I'm going to hold the accelerator down here to get it to proceed in a timely fashion. But we are clear to go, so I'm just going to tell it to go here. And a pretty good job with that right turn. Like I said, there could be more confidence with the initial turn to the right when we were on the exit ramp there. But aside from that, again, it's mixed conditions, kind of expected at this point for it to be overly cautious. All right, I'm gonna start slowing down here because this turn's coming up pretty fast. All right, the car did a pretty good job there on its own too of slowing down. So let's see if we can figure out how to get into the parking ramp here. All right, I'm gonna take it over from there. So for the most part, again, some improvements with FSD 10.8 in just regards to how it handles some of these mixed or all snow-covered roads here that we get here in Minnesota this time of year. Still a lot of room for growth, though, as you can see. There's plenty of disengagements along the way. Again, kind of to be expected at this point. But again, the foundation's there. There's a lot of work to be done still, but we're seeing improvement with each release, so that's all we can kind of ask for at this point. So anyways, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.